The House was able to pass that new budget plan last night. A long night for them, but they got it done. One big, beautiful bill, as, of course, Donald Trump requested. So now they will have to work with the Senate to deliver a plan to President Trump's desk. How involved do you think President Trump will be in that process of agreeing to the terms of one bill?
Well, the president's administration definitely is going to be very involved. I look at, say, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, Kevin Hassett, who's the head of the NEC, and then there's really this fantastic Office of Legislative Affairs, which I know for most people outside the Beltway are like, what is this Office of Legislative Affairs? That sounds like some kind of nerd acronym. But there's some really critical people led by James Blair and James Braid and Pace McMullen and a host of others who are the ones who actually get into the weeds and start figuring out how you make all these different bills work. And that's really the sausage making in Washington, how it comes together. But here's the difference between this time versus 2017. Every single person on President Trump's team shares his vision, knows exactly what the president wants to do, and quite frankly, the president knows exactly what he wants to do. That's why he's been so successful in just 30 days.
Yeah, you know, we were talking earlier about the successes and all the things that we were seeing, the great approval ratings. For some reason, though, it doesn't seem like Democrats are getting it. Now, James Carville, he actually thinks that the administration, the president, is headed toward a collapse in terms of public opinion. Take a listen.
But what I've said very publicly is that Democrats need to play possum. This whole thing is collapsing. So, Dan, this is what I believe. I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, and particularly a collapse in public opinion.
All right, Jason, you are one of the most successful political strategists of this century. He was one of the most successful political strategists of the last century. What do you think of James Carville's comments?
Well, I think that Democrats have shown that they can play possum very well. In fact, I think they look like a possum that just got run over by an 18-wheeler on some back road Louisiana highway because they got crushed in the last election. President Trump received 77.3 million votes, 312 electoral votes, won the popular vote from Americans. And that's why he has this mandate for change. And so I think in many ways, in fairness to James, the Democrats right now are lost in the same way that Republicans were maybe in the early month or two right after former President Obama won back in early 2009. And Democrats at some point will figure out what direction they want to go. But right now, they're still woke as a joke. They're clueless. They don't know what they're doing. And as we saw when Shifty Schiff and others tried to protest the other day, and they could only turn out 4 or 5 people, there is no energy. We've heard about low energy in the past. Democrats have no energy, and it really shows.
Yeah, I like how you described them there, you know, as just being clueless. And you talk about clueless, I got to think about, you know, Democratic Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Absolutely clueless. Teaming up now with other media outlets to continue the Trump is Hitler rhetoric. Take a listen to this.
Well, we're talking about the death of a constitutional republic. That's what happened in Germany in 1933, 1934. And we're seeing today that you've got an administration in Washington that's ignoring court orders. This is literally the end of the republic as we know it. If we don't stand up to Donald Trump in his, decision to essentially break down the government.
Okay, well, it's not the end of the republic as we know it. After Donald Trump was shot, we saw this rhetoric kind of fizzle out for a bit, but it's back now. What's your response to that?
Well, if you go and unpack it for a moment, really what J.B. Pritzker is trying to do is try to deflect attention away from the fact that Illinois is a disaster. I mean, they have shortages all over the place of U-Hauls. Why? Because people are packing up U-Hauls and moving to states that aren't being terribly run. You take a look at Chicago, there's a reason why Tom Homan and Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem and the rest of our great border security and immigration enforcement team is spending so much time in Chicago and in Illinois, because failed liberal Democrat politicians like J.B. Pritzker have turned a blind eye to the rampant illegality that's been going on in the city of Chicago and in the state of Illinois. So I think Pritzker may be a little bit less yammering on cable TV, maybe a little bit more enforcing some of the laws that we have on the books. But Pritzker is an absolute clown. I don't think that he should be taken seriously. But I love the people of Chicago. It's a great city, could be a great city once again. But at some point, they got to get rid of these failure politicians like J.B. Pritzker.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
Jason Miller, always great to see you. Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.